Sometimes the snow falls down in June. Sometimes the sun goes round the moon. Just when I thought our chance had passed, you'd gone and saved the best for last. When I heard Vanessa Williams sing that song, I thought she was talking directly to me. It all started in 1983. I was 14 years old, a sophomore at Wagner High School at Clark Air Force Base, Philippines. I was sitting on a picnic table under a huge canopy of trees waiting for cross country to start. And have you ever had one of those incidences when you see someone from across the room and you're like, oh? That's what happened to me. A boy was walking across the grass. He was wearing white tennis shoes, white socks all the way up to his knees, white shorts, and a pinstripe blue and white long sleeve shirt with a bow, with a tie. He was unlike anyone I'd ever seen in my life. You see, we're a DOD school, Department of Defense. We wore flip-flops, bathing suits, and cutoff shorts. This guy had socks and shoes on. Wow. As he was walking towards me, the tree canopy moved and the sunlight hit upon him. Oh. And I'm like, wow, he's beautiful. I'm gonna marry him one day. He walks towards me, and he's about 3 feet away, and he gets this smile on his face, like a Cheshire cat. He lights up, and I'm like, oh, he thinks he's gonna love me too. And he veered to the right and went to some girl. I had lost him. Well, the next day, I'm sitting in my math class, and I'm staring at him. He's sitting underneath a palm tree, and I'm watching him. And this lady comes up behind me and she says, what are you looking at? That boy right there, his name is Michael. She says, ooh, he's a cutie. Well, my girlfriends had done some snooping for me, so I know he's an officer's son, he just moved from Arkansas, and he's definitely dating the girl I saw him with. The lady says, well, it's time for class. I need to go. You need to find your chair. So I go sit down, and the lady saunters up to the front, and she writes her name on the board, and she turns around, and she winks at me and then smiles. It's the exact same smile I saw on the Michael. Oh, my God, it's his mother. As I was trying to hide in my chair, she kept calling me out for every math question. I survived it. It made me stronger. But I would just watch Michael all the time. He was a junior and I was a sophomore, so we didn't have any classes together. I would just watch him as he walked by. Well, cross country comes and goes, and I'm still pining over Michael, and he walks by me in the hallway one day, and I told my girlfriend, I'm gonna marry him one day. She says, how do you marry someone if you never talk to him? He can feel it. Well, soccer practice starts, and I start going to soccer, and I give on Michael because he's still dating that girl. And I meet this really awesome girl. She's got curly blonde hair, green eyes, and she's really hyper, kind of like someone we know. And her name is Leslie. Well, I'm completely fascinated by Leslie because she's very hyper, and I don't know, we just kind of clicked as friends. And one day she says, Michelle, will you wait for me after school? I'm waiting for my mom to pick me up. I said, sure, I ride my bike, so I'll sit there. Well, I'm sitting with Leslie, and we're having a great time, and I'm thinking of all the great things we're gonna do as friends. And Michael drives up on his Honda Passport. It's like a little motorcycle moped thing. And just like a Harlequin romance, he takes his helmet and he pulls his head off really slowly. And he shakes his non-existent military cut hair. And he smiles and looks in my direction and says, hey, you bum, you're still waiting for mom to pick you up? And Leslie says, No one wants your opinion anyways. Go home, you bum. And they start laughing. Well, I'm like, oh! Is this your brother? She says, yeah, it's my stupid brother. Well, he drives away, and I'm horrified. I don't know what she says at this point because I'm just horrified that, do you know girl code? You can't date your friend's brother. I have to decide. Pine over Michael, drop my new friend. I hope Leslie forgives me because I quit soccer. A few more weeks go by, and Michael's girlfriend that I saw him go to comes to me at school, and she says, Michelle, you're the school mediator. People talk to you. Can you find out why Michael broke up with me? I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'll give you his phone number. Please find out why he won't talk to me. I miss him so much. If I gotta do it, I'll do it. She gives me his phone number, and I have to rationalize. You see, I'm very protected by my mother, and I'm not allowed to call boys. But I'm not calling for myself. I'm calling for her. So I call, and Michael gets on the phone. He says, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you right now. I'm on my way to the pool, but you can come talk to me there. And so I go to the pool, and Michael is in swimming shorts and no shirt. And I'm trying to keep myself calm because I'm not there for me, I'm there for him. And he's like, Michelle, come on in and swim with me, and we'll talk for a while. I can't. Well, why not? Well, I'm thinking in my head, there are 3 reasons I can't. 1, I'm there for his girlfriend, right? 2, his father's an officer and my father's enlisted. Those 2 aren't supposed to cross. And 3, the one that actually stabbed horror in my heart, my mother told me that if I swam next to a boy that I liked, I would get pregnant. So I didn't even dare put my toe in the water. Well, this goes back and forth. I talk to his ex-girlfriend, and she keeps trying to send me back to him to ask more and more questions. Well, she sends me back a lot. And Michael and I hit it off really well. We both like sci-fi movies, really bad ones. We love music. I mean, we're just really geeky together. I have never met anyone like that. Well, I'm coming out of gymnastics class one day, and his ex-girlfriend meets me at the door, and she is upset. She said that I stole him away and that she wanted him back. Long story short, in school the next day, everyone was talking about the 2 girls that were fighting over Michael. Well, Michael, kind of smitten at this point, hey, I heard you were fighting over me. No, I was not. I was stopping her from fighting me. Yeah, you fought for me. And so we end up becoming really good friends, all because of this ex-girlfriend. And what's awesome about it all is he asked me to prom. He asked me to prom. And so when we went to prom, we looked like the tops of a wedding cake. I was wearing a white dress, and he was wearing a dark blue suit, and we posed, and we looked just like the top of a wedding cake. And I remember thinking, that's because we're going to get married. Summer comes, and Michael goes to Colorado to see his family. And they're out there, and about like 2 days after he left, my father got orders to move to Omaha, Nebraska. Now, this is before internet, so it's not like I can just say, tick, 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 leaving, we'll never see you again. I had to write a letter and send him, somehow get him my email, my snail mail to where we're going to be in the next place. Well, back then, instead of internet, we used best friends. So I went to his friend Matt and said, Matt, please give this to Michael. He's not going to know what happened to me. When he comes back, I'll be gone. And Matt's like, don't worry, I've got this. Well, my family moves into the hotel, and we're on our last night in the hotel before we leave the Philippines. And there's a knock at the door. I open it, and it's Michael. He had flown 12 hours from Colorado to the Philippines to say goodbye to me. I think he might like me. Well, we talked till 10 o'clock at night, and as I walk him to the door, he promises that he'll come see me at the airport to say goodbye. And then he hugged me really tight, he kissed me, and he slipped a box in my hand and said, "Don't open this until I'm gone." He runs around the corner, and I open that box. It was a single carat cubic zirconia necklace, and I cried. I knew I would never see him again. We moved to Nebraska. I find out every week, actually, Michael calls me every Friday and tells me what's going on in his life from the Philippines. And then he goes to college. He goes to Texas A&M. Soon I go to University of Nebraska. And we're still talking every week, and we decide that we're so far apart that maybe we should just date other people. And being the calm, cool, collected woman that I am, I agreed. Sure, no big deal. I'll date other people. You go ahead and date other people. Yeah, I'm cool with that. And inside I was thinking, but you're going to share your love with someone else. And then you're going to share all your dreams with me. Why would we even bother? Well, we did. We did well, apparently, because I started dating someone that I thought I was going to marry. And, Michael calls me one day. And he says, "I'm coming through. I just joined the military, and I'm coming through Nebraska. Can I come by and see you?" I'm like, "Oh, good. Then you can see the guy I think I want to marry." I'm really naive. I didn't think that was a big deal. I thought the two guys would hit it off. They hated each other. Surprise. And it goes on, and Michael goes to Washington State, to his new station. And he says, "Michelle, I want you to visit me." And I said, "Sure, I'll come out." He says, "I need help with my new apartment." "Sure, I'll come out." Told my boyfriend I'm going to go see some other guy in Seattle. But we're just friends. I didn't see a problem with it. So we go out there, and I'm having a great time with Michael. And I come back home to my boyfriend, and we're having a good time, and I'm telling him all about how wonderful Michael is. Michael again calls me, and this time he says, "I want you to come out. I moved into a new apartment. Come out." So this time I come out, and my mom says before I leave, "That boy's going to ask you to marry him." I said, No, he's not." I go there, nothing happens. He didn't ask me to marry him. And then we come back home. Now, the thing is, he takes me to the Space Needle. And I thought he was for sure going to propose to me over this beautiful scenic skyline of Seattle. And we get there, and I said, "Oh, Michael, this is beautiful. You have to try the rice pilaf. It's really good." He takes this big hunk of rice pilaf off his plate, and he does, and he turns bright red, and he starts coughing, and he drinks all of my water and the wine, and he's just gagging and having a hard time. I had salmon. He had prime rib. It was horseradish. I kind of ruined the mood, and so he didn't propose to me that night. Anyways, I finally get back to Nebraska, and I'm talking to my boyfriend's family, and they're kind of giving me hints that he wants to propose to me. So when Michael calls that night, I said, "Hey, Michael, guess what? This is October 7th, 1991. Michael, guess what? I think this guy's going to ask me to marry him, and I want you to be my man of honor." He's like, "Oh, you love him?" "No." "Why are you going to marry him?" "Because I'll grow to love him." And he's like, "Why don't you marry your best friend?" "I can't marry my best friend, that's you." He says, "Yeah, it's me. I've been with you since you were 14. Why wouldn't you marry your best friend?" And we go through this big argument. He goes through this dissertation of why I should be marrying my best friend. And at the very end of our conversation, he says, "Michelle, don't you get it? Me, marry me." Oh. Didn't think about that. I would gladly marry you. It was 10 years to the day that I met him, August 1993. I'm standing at the end of the aisle of a church, and the thunder is booming outside in Omaha, Nebraska, and there's streams of lights hitting people, not hitting, but just lights all over the place. It looked like a disco. And as I was walking up the aisle to Michael, I saw him, and the sky stopped storming, and the light came through the window, and it beamed on him just like I saw him 10 years ago. And as I walked up to him, I took his hand, and he whispered to me, "Olive juice." Well, I think that's what he said. And I smiled. And after they announced us as man and wife, we turned to the crowd, and all I could think of was, sometimes the snow goes down in June. Sometimes the sun goes round the moon. Just when I thought our chance had passed, you'd gone and saved the best for last. Thank you.